Hello. Hi guys, I hope my screen is visible to all of you. And just confirm in the chat whether I am audible or not so that we can start the session. Yeah, hi Om. Thank you for confirming. We'll start the session in 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, we'll start the session in next 2 minutes. Okay, so we'll start the session. I think I'm audible and the screen is also visible to all of you. Let's start today's session. So I welcome all of you in AdPost data. Okay, so this AdPost data is everything about data. We will cover the data analyst part, we will cover data engineering part, and few programming languages like Scala and Python also. Later I will start the courses on that part also. So today we'll cover subqueries. Okay. So what is subqueries? So in SQL Server we have learned joint, right? So subquery or inner query or a nested query, okay? It is a query within another query, okay? How we use a function within function, like sometimes if you want to remove the space from right side as well as the left side of a field, then we use a ltrim and rtrim, okay? So first we will use either rtrim or then we'll use ltrim, okay? So it's just a function within function. Here, same concept applies, and it is just as you can say query within query. Okay, the inner query will get executed first, and then the outer query will get executed at the next. In subquery, you can is used to return data that will be used in main query as a condition to further restrict the data to be retrieved. Subqueries can be used with select, insert, update, delete statements along with the operators like equals to, greater than, less than, greater than equals to, less than, in between, any, and some. So there are few conditions that needs to be met or that needs to be followed while writing the subquery. So one condition is subquery must be included within the parenthesis. Let me show you the example. So this is called a subquery and the this is called the outer query. Okay. So this subquery should always be within the parenthesis. This one, right? This is the one condition. A subquery can have only one column in the select clause. That is, here inside this subquery, right? It should have only one column, okay? And unless multiple columns are in the main query for a subquery to compare its selected columns. Then order by cannot be used in the subquery. Okay, so you cannot use order by here. like in the subquery. Uh, though the main query can use an order by. So like if you want to use order by, you can use after the parenthesis. So if you use the order by after the parenthesis means this order by will be applied to this outer query. And if you want to use the order by clause in the subquery, then you have to use a top keyword, okay? Or in case of the SQL Server, MS SQL Server, you should use a top keyword. And in case of Postgres or MySQL, you should use a limit. Then if subqueries that return more than one rows can only be used with multiple value operators such as in operator. So if this subquery is returning more than one value, right? In that case, you can't use greater than, less than, or equals to. So if the inner subquery is returning more than one rows, then you should go for multiple operators like in operator, okay? And then the select list cannot be include any references to values that evaluate to blob, array, glob, or nglob. These are the different data types, and then like a subquery cannot be immediately enclosed in the set of functions. Between operator cannot be used with subquery. However, between operator can be used within the subquery. Like if you want to use a between operator, you can use here, but you can't use here. So let me show you the syntax one more time. Uh, this is called the subquery. Let me write down here itself. Okay. So the query which is in the parenthesis, this is called a subquery. Okay. This is subquery, or sometimes it is called as inner query also. This is called a main query. Okay. The one which is at the top is called the main query, or mm, this is subquery, or you can call the inner inner query, and this is called the outer query. Now subquery, this part will be executed first, and the result of this query will be passed to this query. Okay. Let me show you one example. Okay, we'll go to the AdventureWorks database, and we have a production.product table. So let's start from production.products table. Order by unit price. Okay. Okay. So what I want all products, okay, whose price is equals to or whose price is greater than this particular product, okay. You can see the product name of this product is product AQOKR, and its price is 9.50. Now what I want like all the products whose price is greater than 9.50, but I'm not sure about the price. If I don't know the unit price, I want I want all the records whose price is greater than of this particular product. So how can I get, like, to get the price of this product, we will write a query like this. Let me open one more window here. Okay, now you can see here. Uh, You know that this is the product ID, so we'll get the product ID from here. Select star from this one. Close this one. Wait. So this is the table. I want the products whose price is greater than this one, but or the product details whose price is greater than this particular product's price, right? So how can I achieve? Let me show you. Let's select. We want the unit price of this one, right? So we will write from, then we'll take this table name as there is no need to specify the alias where what I want the product price, right? Product name where product name equals to this one, and I want unit price, right? Unit price. This will give me the price. Now what I want all other products whose price should be greater than this particular product. Okay, particular unit price. So to get that, I will write where clause here, where unit price, this unit price should be greater than equals to this 9.50. Okay, so let me execute this one. I will get all the products whose price is greater than this, right? 9.5. So now what I will do, I will replace this 9.5 with this. So I will write a subquery. So subquery is just use this query in parenthesis and execute this one. Now let's see 67 rows. Earlier also we were getting near about 67 rows. No, not exactly 67 rows, right? Let me execute this one. I will show you. So earlier also we were getting 67 rows. So then again, these subqueries can be used in update, delete, or insert statement, right? Let me show you one more example. I have a table called orders in a sales order table. Okay, let me show you. Here only in the SQL database, there is a table called a sales order. Now what I want, select star from sales order. Okay, I want max order. Okay, and the customer details. Now, if I want a max order, then what I will write? Max, then order ID. Okay, and if you execute this query, then we'll get a max order ID. Okay, I'm not into that database. Let me execute this one. Okay, so this is the max order ID. Now what I want the customer ID, employee ID, order ID, and the order date of that particular max order ID. So you may think that like we can use customer ID and then employee ID and then max order ID. Let me show you. Like it won't work. What I want cust ID. Then I want EMP ID and I want a max order ID. So let me execute this one. We will get an error. Like why we are getting error? Because we are using a aggregate function and there are two fields which are not part of the group by. So to overcome this error, we should use this two field there. Now along with that, I want even order date also. Then comma. Now this order ID should be part of again this group by the group by is missing. Now see, I'm not getting rate. I want that customer ID. Okay, so to get that customer ID, like we have to pass this to here, right? So what I want the customer details who has placed this maximum order ID. This is the maximum order ID. Now if I pass this where order ID equals to this max order ID, right? If I pass this value here and if I use a star so that I will get all the details of this particular customer details. See, now I'm getting the like this customer ID 25 whose employee ID is 1 and this is the order that he has placed the max order ID, right? So now like instead of the hard code I want this to be dynamic. Like tomorrow there could be another customer who may place the highest order. If I hard code it then always I will get this value, okay? So to avoid that what I will do I will use a dynamic query that is subquery. And now what I will do, I will use parentheses. So parentheses are mandatory in subquery. Let me execute this one. See, now I'm getting the right result. Now let me show you one more example. Mm, Now what I want, okay, I want the uh, order IDs, okay, where the click this order this orders right should be placed by, let me show you one thing here first. Okay, I want the order IDs. Those are placed by the employee. Okay, and the customer. Okay, the the cust ID or employee ID should be part of this table. Okay, then how can I achieve it? Or like the other way is, for example, if there is I want all order IDs who has placed the order and their name is Davis. Okay, so how can I get? Let me execute this one first. So if you execute this query, like first we will execute this, like we can execute this independent query, right? Oh, I missed this part. Now this is the employee ID one. So I want all the order IDs who has placed by employee ID one. Okay, then I will get the result. So 123 orders are placed by an employee whose last name is like Davis. Now I want again the order IDs from the employee whose last name is Kolar. Let me show you. We can use the same query. First, we will take the like there is a relationship between, you can see here, there is a relationship between this employee ID and this sales sorry this HR.employees and the sales.orders. Okay, now you can see this employee ID is primary key which is used here as a foreign key here fk12. This is employee ID. Now what I want first, let me execute the orders which are placed by those employees whose last name is Kolar. Okay, so how can I get the employee ID? You can get just pass this Kolar here, get his I, employee ID. So there is no employee called last whose last name starts with or whose last name is like Kolar. And if you pass this result to this query, you will not get any record. Let me execute this query again one more time. See, there is no record because this query is returning nothing. So it is not returning null. Okay, by the way, it is this result is like false. So you will not get the record. Now what I want all orders, those are placed by employee whose last name starts with D letter. So to get the employee ID whose last letter starts with D, how can we write a query? Like we want uh, this one like D and then the percent sign. So it will give me two employees, 1 and 9. So there are two employees whose last name starts with D. Now what I want the orders which are placed by this 1 and 9. Just pass this employee IDs to the outer query. Now let's see, I will get an error. So I got an error stating that subquery return more than one value. So if the subquery returns more than one value, like you can see this subquery returns more than one value, that is 1 and 9. Okay, let me show you error one more time. So if the subquery is returning more than one value, in that case, this is not permitted when the subquery follows equals, not equals, greater than, less than, blah blah, the other operators. Okay. So in that case, if the subquery is returning more than one value, you should use in clause. Let me use this one and I will execute this one. See, now I am getting records. Okay. Like there are two employees whose last name starts with D and how many orders they have placed? They have placed 166 orders. So this is the subquery. Now I have one more. Now what I want, let me show you. I have one more table. Mm, I want all the customers. Okay. Again, let me show you the relationship between these two tables. I want all the customer names, company name, contact title, address, city, all the details of the customer who has placed the order. Okay. So how can I get the primary key of this table is getting used in the sales dot order. So if the ID, cust ID is present here in this order ID table, meaning that they have placed an order. So to get the customer IDs who has placed the order, first go to sales order table from sales dot orders table. Let use star. Okay. Now there are few customers like we will use cust IDs. Okay. We'll get the customer IDs who has placed the order. So you can see there are multiple customer IDs, a duplicate customer IDs. Okay. So and now what I want the customer details. So the customer details are present in the customer table. So select star from the sales dot customers. Now you can see we will use where clause. We are getting multiple rows here, right? So what we will do, we use cust ID and then in because we are getting multiple records. Now let me execute this query. So you will get there are 89 rows. Okay. There are total 89 customer who has placed an order. Okay, let me show you. Are there really 89 customer or not? So if you execute this query, in that case, you are getting 830 rows, but there are the customer, those are duplicate. You can see this customer one has placed order 6 times. So just put distinct here. So you will get the distinct customer ID. So 89 rows, right? You will get 89 rows as I mentioned. So it is not necessary to use the distinct keyword in subquery. Okay. It automatically internally SQL Server ignores the duplicate value. And now if I want all customers who haven't placed any order, so instead of the customer ID in, put not in. Customer ID not in, then execute this query. So there are two customers who haven't placed any order. So this is called a simple subquery. Now what I want all customers who has placed the order and I want their max order ID or max order date. So how can I do that? It is not possible using this simple subquery. Okay, so it is possible using nested or sorry correlated subquery. So what is correlated subquery? In this case, you can execute this query independently, right? You can execute and you can check what is the output of the inner query, and then you can execute the outer query. You can pass this result. You can copy and paste the result here and you can execute. But in case of the correlated query, it is not possible. Meaning that this internal, the inner query is independent of or with this outer query. But in case of uh, correlated subquery, it is not. There is a relation between the outer query and the inner query. First, what will happen? This outer query will be executed. It will pass that particular field or condition to the inner query, and then inner query executes and it again pass the results to the outer query and you will get the results. Now let me show you. For example, what I want the orders with maximum order ID of each customer. So for example, this customer ID, right? Let me show you uh, how many orders he has placed. I want a customer ID where customer ID equals to 1 and then his order ID, order underscore ID, right? Sorry, what is the column name? It's just order ID, I think. So this is his maximum order ID, order by order ID descending. Okay. So this is his max order ID, okay, though it's coming at the first place because I did a descending order, okay. So for customer ID 2, let's see whether it has placed the order. Yeah, this is the order ID. Now, how I want, let me put take in clause here, 1 and 2, okay. Uh, and we'll put this customer ID also here. Now for this customer ID, this is the max order ID. For this customer ID, this is the max order ID. So how can I achieve that? By using correlated subquery. So let me show you in another window. So first, what we want customer ID and order ID. So, okay, so cust ID, go to sales dot orders table where we will get the customer ID, right? Then we will use as we will give alias to this one as OD. Then what we want from this OD dot customer ID, right? We want sales dot orders. Okay, not in the sales order. Everything is in the order, right? We were dealing with the orders table where it is. Yes, yeah, right. So let me copy first this one part. Okay, we want this part. customer ID and then it's order ID. Now where what I want order ID, okay? But like I want or max order ID of each customer, right? So to get a max order ID, we should write a query like max, then the order ID. We want right from again from the same table, right? We'll get the max order ID. So from here, we'll get a max order ID. We'll get this max order ID. But we want for each customer, right? So we'll pass these two here and this max will return only one record. So in that case, what I will do, I will use subquery and let me execute this query. See now you are getting only one max order ID is this one and this is the customer. But what I want for each customer ID there are 89 customers and I want each customer's max order ID. So to do that, just give ls to this one to bifurcate and then use where clause and use this customer ID, pass the customer ID from this O1 cust ID, sorry, cust ID, O2 dot cust ID equals to O1 dot cust ID. Okay. Now for each row, right, it will pass this customer ID. Okay. Let me show you where it is. Okay. So these are the customer ID, right? Distinct customer IDs. So these are the customer IDs. For each customer ID, what it will does, it will pass that customer ID here, and in that case, it will return the max order ID of that customer. For example, this is the like it will execute like I will show you the cust ID equals to 1. The internal query will work like this only. Okay. So the outer query will pass the customer ID 1, then this will be the output of this query, and this output, this number equals to this order ID. In that case, you will get the customer ID and the order ID. For customer ID 2, this customer ID, like it will pass 2 to here. If the match is there, okay, then this number is will be passed to this order ID and you will get, okay. So likewise, it will operate on row by row. Let me execute now this query. See, let me do the order by uh, custody so that will get a clear picture. Okay, see for this one, we are getting this one. Then for customer ID, the output was, let me show you. See, uh, it's here, okay. You can see clearly for this is the output for the, this is the max ID for this customer ID one. The same way, most of the time, you will be asked to get a, what is the second highest salary, what is the third highest salary, okay. So using subquery, we can achieve. Let me show you that also to you. So this is the example of the subquery. Give me 1 minute. We have, I think salary table is there or not, I'm not sure. Okay, we can let me check. Don't have any employees. There it is there. I don't have. Let me create one table. Otherwise, mm, will work with products, right? Check whether we have it or not. We don't have here also. Trace production dot product is there. Where it is? Okay, we'll take this example. Select star from production dot product. Now what I want, list the price. Okay, what is the list price? Okay. Okay, now I want second highest list price. Okay. Or let's see standard cost. What is the standard cost? Okay. Let's consider standard cost. Okay. I want second highest standard cost. So what is the second highest standard cost? Order by. If we do the order by standard cost, standard cost descending, then let me put here. I want the product ID, product name, and second highest standard cost. So I will put product ID. Then what I want name of the product, and the third is standard cost. Let me execute now this query. So this 750 is the second highest price. Okay. Now what I want this price. Okay. Though there are duplicates, let me show you. I want this. You know that this is the second highest price, right? Or second highest standard cost. So let me show how can we get it. The first query is if you execute this query, right, we'll get the standard cost. If you put a distinct keyword, then we will get a unique values. See, in this case, now this is the second highest. Okay, let me go here one more time. Okay, this is not the second. Okay, this is the first one only because this is the highest cost, and this is the second one. Okay, you can see this is the second highest. Now what I want this value to be returned. So how can I get, I want like second highest. So what I will do, I will use top two only, and this distinct will come here. So now I got two values. Now what I want this value, right? So what I will do, I will use the same query where now standard cost equals to or in, then now I want this at the top place, right? If I do order by ascending on this field, then I will get the output. Let me put instead of the star, I will put all these details. So then you can put in, and now this inner query is returning me these two records. So what I did, I I'm using standard cost in because I'm getting two records. So more than two records, that time use in. And just to do order by ascending. Order by standard cost ascending. ASC. Now let's execute this one. We'll get the result. See, this is the second highest cost of the product. You can use like if you remove the top keyword, right? Top you can put 20 also you will get the all records. Okay, this is the you can use top one, okay, instead of top 20. So this is the standard highest, second highest cost. Okay, if you want the third, just put third three here and execute the same query. You will get the third highest one. So this is the third highest. You can see here, this is the third highest. Okay. Likewise, if you want fourth, you can put fourth here and execute. If you want the fourth from lowest side, right? Just put here ascending and here descending. So you'll get the fourth from lower end. That is this cost. Okay. So by using subquery, we can get a second highest salary or a third highest salary, fourth highest salary, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth salary likewise. So this is all about the subquery. We stop here. Thank you for joining.